Hey guys, Urban Combat Survivor here. I want to do a video here talking about the most recent Newsweek magazine cover. I want to talk about it because I think there's a hell of a lot of symbolism and a lot of important symbolism on the cover of that magazine, and I think a lot of the significance is probably going to be glossed over or completely missed by the mainstream media and even a lot of alternative media. I don't think it was a mistake that they chose one of the traditional poses of Shiva. I don't think that it was a mistake that they transposed Barack Obama onto Shiva. And I think what's going to happen is people are probably going to be distracted by the balancing of the symbolism of the different issues in the hands of that pose, and not really look at the pose itself. For those who aren't familiar with Hinduism, Shiva is the destroyer of the world. He destroys the world in order to transform it or rebirth it into the image that it should be. So I think there's a hell of a lot of symbolism in the fact that they chose that. I mean, Newsweek is pretty left. I don't think there's many magazines that can still be considered mainstream that are any more left than Newsweek is. So it's, you know, they have a dog in that fight. They basically openly cheerleaded for Obama, even before he threw his hat in the ring for presidency. And I think it's pretty significant that they chose to portray him as Shiva. Now, from their perspective, I would assume that they are supporting the rebirth of the world, the transformation of the world. But, you know, in all traditional Hindu portrayals of what's to come, or what Shiva will do, is that first he has to break the world. He has to destroy the world. So if you look at what Obama has been doing, what this administration has been doing, basically it looks a lot like the destruction of the world in order to rebuild it in the image that they choose for it. So I just wanted to do a quick video talking about the fact that it's probably going to be glassed over, it's probably going to be glossed over, and it's probably going to fade away as long as you and I let it fade away. And so this is my attempt to kind of plant the seed in your head, not to let that just disappear, because I think that's the plan, folks. The plan is for them to destroy the world and remake it in their image, to remold it. You know, he said fundamental transformation during his campaign, and he didn't hide who and what he was. The media may not have reported on it, but he hasn't hidden what his real intentions are. It's my belief that he is absolutely an adherent to black liberation theology, and basically they think the American system has to be destroyed and remade in their image. So choosing to transpose Barack Obama over that traditional image, I think is pretty powerful, and I think it's something. Don't let it fade away in your head. You know, lock that image in your head and keep it there, because before it's all over, this guy, this administration, these people, not just him, all of those that he's working with, all of those he's putting in power, I believe their intention is to break the system, to break not just America. It looks like they're looking to break the entire Western system and then remold it in their image, and I believe their image is going to be under the UN. So they've been slowly trying to destroy our rights, and I don't think, let me throw this in, I don't think it has started or will end with Obama. The Patriot Act was signed by George W. Bush. So Obama's not doing it alone. His people aren't doing it newly. This is something they've been working on. These are just the latest carnation of this movement. And this is something they've been working on for 100 years. You know, they in 1913 took over the banking industry, and they took over. They basically hijacked the Senate from the people. So they've in turn gone and tried to effectively, I think they've accomplished it, infiltrate all of the biggest and most powerful unions. I think in the end, there's not too much left for these guys to accomplish, you know? They have everything in power. They have the people in places of power at this point. You know, I tried to make a response video to Spiro Cortalis. He put an update for his channel, and it plays into this. I think the timing on it is spectacular. He says that he doesn't believe that we need a violent revolution, we need an intellectual revolution. And I think effectively that's what we've been fighting against, is an intellectual undermining of all of the values of what we, the average people, hold for ourselves and for our families as the way things should be. So in the end, don't let the symbolism, the iconography, you know, this administration has been extremely symbolic. There's been, you know, just tons of different linking symbolism with this administration, linking it to a lot of other movements, a lot of other organizations that have been popping up for the last 50, 60 years. And again, I don't think it's a mistake. I don't think it is coincidental that repeatedly the symbolism that are being used by this current administration, all of the new little, I mean, they created what was it, 180 or 230 new government agencies in that healthcare bill that have nothing to do with healthcare. I think that healthcare bill had as much to do with healthcare as the new TSA screening has to do with security. I think it's all about hijacking the system at this point. As I go back and I look over all the things that have been done, I didn't realize it at first that this is what was going on. I don't think anybody really realized it at first. But at this point, I think if you go back and look at everything these guys have been doing, everything they set up, it's all going towards a single end. And that single end seems to be the breaking and remolding of the system as they want it. So the Shiva icon, it's pretty apropos, and I hope that you guys will go take the time, go to Google and look up Shiva, the Destroyer of Worlds, or just Shiva in general, and read about the symbolism involved there, because there's a duality with that god in the Hindu tradition that I think exactly matches what Obama is trying to do and be. So I don't know, guys, pay attention to the symbols. You know, I had a picture on my phone. I meant to work it into a video, and I don't have it with me here. It's back in Philadelphia. So you know, even road signs are starting to have new symbols on them that I've noticed, just little tiny symbols way down at the bottom that look a lot like the Obama administration rising sun symbol that there was a little bit of attention about back, you know, after he first got elected. So pay attention, start looking at the websites for these new government agencies. Start looking at the powers in these new government agencies. Start looking at all the symbolism that's being used in the media, because I don't think any of it's a mistake. I don't think this is just pop culture art. I think this is a quiet celebration that we're not really supposed to understand. You know, that symbolism is supposed to just ride on through. That was a quiet celebration of a victory, of them seeing the breaking point of the world as it is, so that it can be remolded in the image that they want it to be remolded into. And I think Newsweek is absolutely in that hard left camp. I think anybody that's extreme on either side is a danger to the American way of life and to the Constitution. But I think particularly this progressive movement, they're not looking to change it. They're looking to destroy it and rebuild it in their own image. And the image that they're trying to rebuild it in has failed every single time it's ever been tried in history, because it is a failure. Because the system they're trying to rebuild it in is not about what they're claiming it's about. It's about power. It's about control. Communism in Russia, the people were the ones that were living under communism. Those in power were not living under communism. They were living as dictators. They were living very comfortable lives. They didn't live in the same house that everybody has to have the same. They didn't live that. They just enforced that on other people. And they stood on the necks of the people. I mean, you can look at that. Every socialist and communist country, basically in history, has done that. None of them have worked, and none of them will work, because the only way socialism or communism can work is if you have a completely homogenous society. And in the current world, that's just not possible. It's not going to happen. You can bring up some Northern European countries where socialism seems to be doing fairly well, but as they get an influx of immigrants, it starts failing. Their systems start overloading. Socialism cannot work. Communism cannot work. The only thing that can work is a reasoned balance of free people pursuing their own ends. That's it. Nothing else is going to work. Nothing else ever has. Nothing else ever will. And we're losing that right now. We're in a battle for that, and most people just aren't seeing it. So don't let the battle go by quietly. Don't let the battle just fade into the history books and look back and tell your grandchildren, well, it used to be like this. Don't let it be that, guys. Spiro Cortalis said it exactly right, in my opinion. This needs to be an intellectual revolution. Start teaching your kids. I'm going to make a video responding to him. I tried a couple times. It hasn't worked. So if you're interested in that, that video should be up a little bit later on today. So look at the symbols, folks. Think about them. Think about what these guys are trying to accomplish. And look at every single symbol. They don't just throw a symbol up that they think looks cool. Look at every single icon, every single symbol that these guys are using in every aspect of what they're doing, and really study them. Really look into what they mean. Look at the symbols, because there's a whole story in those that isn't really being told, in my opinion. So check it out, guys. Urban Combat Survivor, signing off.